Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me. Yes, I came home and found this on my front porch, a nice box full of CDs. I'm so excited. I like getting things in the mail, period. I mean, I think most people do, but when it's music, I love it even more, right? And so this is from Heavy Metal Museum. I've been talking about them on the channel for a couple reasons because one, I think they are a great music distributor. I don't know what to call it, reseller. Um, They've got a website, but they've got this cool eBay page that I love because I can go through there and I can tell it that I want to look for glam metal, I want to look for heavy metal, I want to look for classic rock, I want to look for melodic rock, I want to look for progressive, but it'll basically sort out and then just give me that. And so whatever I'm in the mood for, I can go there and I can do that. And I was kind of having a lull. I wasn't finding anything to listen to here at home, in my collection. And I know that sounds funny having 13,000 CDs, but I just wasn't being, inspired by anything. And I thought, hey, I'm going to go on to Heavy Metal Museum's page and I'm going to click a couple things and see. And I found 5 things that I want to unbox and share with you guys because it never ceases to amaze me. Even when I'm not looking for anything and I don't have anything in mind, if you go peruse some of these pages, you can just find some amazing stuff. And that's what this is. So let's cut into it. Let's check this stuff out. I was so glad to come home today and see this sitting on my porch. I wasn't supposed to get it till Monday. And at the time of filming this, it's Thursday for me. You're probably going to see this on Friday, but it's one of those weird things like, Postal Services is telling you it's going to arrive on Monday, and next thing you know, it's arriving 5 days early, but who can complain when that happens? So, all right, let's dig into this. Got some good newspaper on top of this wow, they do this up really good, actually. And I'd love to show you guys and share that because music fanatics like us, we want to get our stuff in good condition. Well, every time I've ordered from Heavy Metal Museum, they've certainly treated me right and done that. And, other ones have as well, but I like to be able to share with you guys when that's the case so that because I know I feel better ordering from these places when I know that it's going to come protected like this. All right. Oh, one of these I'd forgotten I'd even ordered here, and I'm seeing it on the back side. Of course, I can't get into it fast enough now. Oh, let's see. I'm going to have to cut it open, I think. Almost there. It's the plastic shrink wrap that sticks to the bubble wrap, making it hard for this stuff to come out. But kind of once you get one of them there, we can get the rest of it. All right, so I'm actually going to start with this first one. This was the one I was saying I had forgotten that I had thrown in there, but I've never seen a copy of this that I could get on CD. And you know what? It's probably bootleg or very small run or something. It's not super high quality, but I want it no matter what. The band is Tangier. Now, I know Tangier from their 2 albums they did in the very late 80s or early 90s. So 4 Winds, I think, was title of the first one, and the second one was maybe Stranded. And I got to see these guys open up for Extreme on tour and really enjoyed them. And I've kind of followed where those guys have gone and things they've done after that. And then I found out that, Tangier goes back much further, but it was LP only. No CDs were ever issued, not officially at least. And this, I believe, is their debut. It's a self-titled release, so I think this is the debut from like 83 or something like that. But I, to make sure, when I say I think, I just mean I'm not entirely sure if it's technically the debut or is there another one before it. But what I do know, in fact, this is them because Doug Gordon, Bill Mattson, those were guys that were in the version that I know later on. And so definitely on here. And Tangier's got an interesting history. Definitely head over and check out Wikipedia and they'll get into all of the nitty gritty of this sort of stuff. But finding this on there was very cool. And look, I've ordered from them 2 or 3 times already, not seeing this. So I don't know if this is something that, just got released, however, and they're now, sharing it, or I just missed it. But I love finding stuff like this. Very, very cool. All right, so this next one was one I wasn't even expecting, and I came across it very excited because I'd kind of forgotten there was a second one. I have the first one, but the original Iron Man 2. And so this is Dennis Stratton and Paul Di'Anno, original guys from Iron Maiden. And as I said, I've got the first one. And so I knew there was a part 2 to it, but I hadn't come across it anywhere. And if you're not familiar with it, it's not Iron Maiden sounding. It is definitely just good melodic hard rock stuff. And it's in the vein, and some of it is actually songs from Fastway. So Lee Hart, who is the vocalist on these 2 albums, On Target and Bad Bad Girls, and some of the songs that are on here, but he wrote a bunch of songs that then were recorded by Dennis Stratton and Paul Di'Anno, and they made these 2 albums. But I think these were like import only because I had a 2-disc collection or anthology of all that stuff. And it was years before I found out that it was actually like 2 individual albums. And so I bought this at one point when I came across it just because I wanted it in the collection as a standalone album the way it was meant to be. And I just never came across this one, part 2. But I gotta say, so I've got this one, which is an original one when it came out in 1995. Not a lot, happening. It's kind of very basic. But this one here at least adds in the Iron Maiden lettering that's on it. And they do the same on the back side here, which we didn't get on this one. So very nice job, at least in terms of this reissue of it. I don't know if we're going to get a remastered sound. I hope so. But either way, just the fact that I now have the 2 albums of this and I can listen to it this way instead of that anthology version. I like the original way of hearing these things as opposed to compilations that maybe change the order or whatnot. So, if version 1 of this and the 10 tracks that were on here was what they intended, and then they decided to do a part 2, and so it was this way, then at least I'm hearing it for how it was originally intended. But again, this one I think is probably the one I'm most excited about to really get into and listen, but that was just because my mind was kind of in that mode when I placed the order. And this next one here, I don't know if I knew about, didn't know about, because it seems to not be something I was aware of, but group is called House of X, and I knew the band because it's former members of UFO, different lineups coming together, and they went out and they toured and they were playing UFO material. And I have a live album from the band House of X, but I didn't know that they actually recorded and made an album together. So finding this now like this and looking into it and realizing, oh, very cool. All those guys, which is essentially a super group of UFO members coming together to make this. Now, it's not the main famous people. It doesn't have Pete Way and it doesn't have Michael Shankar or Ansley Dunbar or whatever. We get Danny Payroy now. Don't know if I said his name right. Keyboard player. He was part of Heavy Metal Kids. Lawrence Archer, who was a guitar player for the band in the late 80s, early 90s era of the group. Trying to think of who else it is, but it's different guys like that from different periods of the band coming together and doing it. So either way, whatever it sounds like, the guys that are doing it, I like. So I'm excited about that, and I will certainly enjoy hearing that. So that's kind of the new studio thing for me. The other stuff are reissues, things that I have heard before, but that's going to be completely new for me. Here's one that I'd had on order trying to get, and eventually Amazon canceled it. Van Stephenson, his classic album, or most famous album, I don't remember the exact year, 85, 86, somewhere in there maybe, but it was all the other guys that were on this, which essentially were guys that would later become Giant. And a lot of the songs that are on here were those things that we actually have versions of Giant, the band, recording some of these songs too, trying them out. But Mike Baird, Dan Huff, Alan Pasqua, and Dennis Belfield, along with Van Stephenson, together. And I had this on record, but I bought the record because of all the other guys that were in it. I didn't know who Van was. So I bought this and I've had it on record and loved it. And of course, later found out who Van was and bought other albums by him and have enjoyed his stuff. But what got me into it were these other guys that would go on to the band Giant. And I've always liked this album, but never come across a CD edition of it. And now we've got melodic rock classics, but the melodicrock.com website, music news site that is also the label, has reissued it. And I couldn't get it. I don't know. I pre-ordered it through Amazon, and then it went on back order, and then eventually they canceled the order. And again, I think that has something to do with the US shipping issues, because Melodic Rock Classics is an Australian label. The gentleman, Andrew McNeese, I think that's his name, is Australian, runs it out of Australia. And so I don't know where the record label is based, if it's also Australia or the distribution is based, but getting it into the US proven to be a problem. But I found it through Heavy Metal Museum. So the same way that Heavy Metal Museum can get you the Bad Reputation's record stuff, we were talking about that previously, promoting it that way, because Eric Kubard, owner of Bad Reputation Records, knows there's the shipping issues. Well, apparently shipping issues with other labels too, and therefore two things I can get through Heavy Metal Museum. So loving that. And the last thing, the fifth thing that I got, is another album by 220 Volt. I now have, well, this will make three, but I had two before this. So one that I found, and I think the album was from like 1997. It was Japanese release. I kind of picked it up on a whim. And then I found that they did a reissue of an album, and so I ordered that. And then I saw this one. This is also a reissue, one of the Japanese reissues, but made for the US market, the North American market. So it's sort of the Japanese way and everything, and albums that were released there, but now getting domestic releases, which is very cool because they just don't cost as much. But this album here, I'm trying to see if Eye to Eye. And I don't know the year on it. I don't see it right offhand on the back. But I'm enjoying this band, and I thought I would check this out. Some great melodic hard rock of the 80s into the 90s. So even into the 90s, they were still sounding like that classic stuff. And because of that 1997 album that sounds so good, I went back and bought some other stuff. But at this point, I'll buy anything now, because they apparently are one of those bands that, despite the change in times and music and everything that was going on, they were still staying true to themselves. So very, very cool. And so all in all, man, I was very excited about all of these finds this time. There were some other things that I was looking at and getting, but picked up 5 things. I'm gonna start with that, gonna enjoy it. I've got a few other things in my queue, and I'll probably then place that order and get some more stuff. But I love having that, and I love knowing that some stuff is coming in the mail. But having it like that and arriving and being able to unbox with you guys, I hope you enjoyed this too. Certainly head over to Heavy Metal Museum's website that they have. It'll probably redirect you over to their eBay page. That's really where they do all this stuff from. But like I said, you can pick and choose the style of music you want and the format that you want, and it'll filter all that out, and then you just get to look at that sort of stuff. So you don't have to peruse for hours on end. You can actually sort this stuff, and that's how I found a lot of this. It's very, very cool. So there you go. Definitely head over, check that out. But I hope you've got some new music on the way. If you got something that just arrived, or you're waiting on something and you're very excited about it, weigh in, let me know. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.